Good day, friends. Miloa here, and today I am with RB Smith. She is the author of the book Pandemic Depression. Welcome, and tell us about yourself and your book.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. So my book was kind of a brainchild that came out of working in the healthcare sphere when the pandemic hit, and then also navigating what it was like to have my own mental health issues during that time. Um, I'd say this is my debut book, but stories and trying to find ways of communicating to people that resonates with them has been a long time
Mm.
practice of mine. Because I think when people are truly heard and seen and space is held for them, then they're going to be reminded of their own light and their own value by others, me, or whoever else is having dialogue with them. Because I think communication is so, so, so important, and especially the communication we have with ourselves. My book is about pandemic depression, and there are some other parts to the title, but you are free to read them if you want to. You know what to do when you don't give fudge anymore. Yes, yes. But even if people don't have that as part of their vocabulary, they're thinking it. And if they're thinking about it, then they might have similar feelings
Mm,
that myself and other people are going through, right? Like
mhm,
it's the most recent global collective trauma that we've all faced. And it is something that kind of, that did shift reality of like it was either before COVID or now that COVID's here.
mhm,
And what do we do? I think that when I had the idea of writing this book, I wanted to feel helpful, but I wanted to do it on my own terms.
mhm,
In healthcare, getting a box of, gloves
mhm,
or N95 masks, it was like Christmas because
mhm,
supplies were so short and so low.
mhm, mhm,
Um, so and with that, my hands felt tied, like there's only so much I can do. Even though I know there's no Calvary coming for us, we are the Calvary helping people because our community needs us. I still felt like there was something else I could do. And then I sat with myself and I thought, I've had depression for over 20 years and I'm still alive.
mhm,
There's got to be some things that have helped me cope over time that maybe someone else doesn't know if they're dealing with their mental health issues for the first time, or um, if they just have no idea what depression even is.
mhm.
That wasn't a conversation that was a regular topic in my childhood home growing up. That wasn't really part of the vocabulary that we had. So I know if people were like me existed, there's still people out there now like that. And I want to make sure that everybody has the same information to enable them to survive, live, and thrive.
Yeah, so talking about the masks and it being like a Christmas present, when
Mhm,
COVID just came out, my mom was having to go to the hospital 3 times a week to get
mhm,
infusion treatments. And
mhm.
I remember I was furiously looking for, things that I could do to protect us when we had to go out. And my mom, ever being the woman that wants to give back to people, made me buy 500 boxes of masks, um,
Oh,
that I then proceeded to when we went to her infusion treatments,
mhm.
I would just pass out boxes to all the nurses, um,
Uh, you
because
probably made their week because I know for me it made such a
be
difference. We're like, we have
yeah,
masks, we can protect ourselves and help people too.
exactly,
A
because
little
some of
easier to sleep at night, yeah.
because some of them, were telling us that they wore the same mask for a whole week.
Mhm. They
Because
would talk about
there just
sterilizing them,
there just
Yeah.
wasn't that available. And so, you know, we that's how we supported um people that had to take care of my mom during that time. Excuse me. But yeah, no, it to my audience out there, y'all, we're talking about mental health today. I know typically we talk about fictional books and magic and so forth, but mental health is, I believe, one of the most important topics in today's age. And we all face it, varying different levels of degrees. But that's why I wanted to talk to RB Smith today, because I do think it's an important topic. So, love, peace, and veggie grease sounds inspiring. Can you tell us what that phrase means to you?
Right. So it was kind of like having a laid back motto for myself, definitely after working in healthcare with COVID, there was a lot of reinventing that I did for myself.
Mhm,
And especially after I realized that I had a brain injury. So then I was like, what life motto fits me now that I'm this different person, that I've had these
mhm,
experiences that were difficult, but also helps me to lay back and enjoy life. And, whew, give me just a second. I was going to get my dog. um, with love, peace, and veggie grease means to me to have love for yourself and to just spread that to other people.
mm,
And peace because we have a responsibility to cultivate that peace within ourselves. And then also to not spread chaos everywhere. Life's too short.
mm.
And then veggie grease because I don't want to say chicken grease because I've been a vegan for 6.5 years. So that's why I love peace and veggie grease. Try to keep it simple, because then if you take out all the other stuff, love yourself, love others,
Mhm,
make sure that you have a sense of peace within yourself that can spread out to other people that you care about or people in the world that matter to you and you value communicating with them. And then veggie grease because I love me some vegetables covered in vegan butter.
mhm.
So,
Nice. Yeah, no, I would have to say my mental health phrase that I've had kept to for about the past 10 years is be kind to yourself.
mhm,
Just because I
mhm,
think so many times we it we get trapped up here and
mhm,
we keep saying negative things to ourselves, and that often causes spiraling and makes it
yes,
really difficult to um, really focus on what is important. I've seen it many times in my students where they will be so negative towards themselves that they'll forget to be kind to themselves, and they just end up just walking away,
mm,
from life, from their careers, from their dreams. And, if they had just been a little bit kinder to themselves, they would have gone far. And so that's my motto when it comes to mental health, and that I think that, um, being kind to yourself, it has may look completely different for me than it does to you,
mhm,
but just taking that beat and trying to understand, um, taking that temperature meeting measurement, and trying
right.
to understand yourself and recognizing that what you're doing right now is not good for you and you have to change. Um, so,
Right, and then when one of the things that you had mentioned, about the students and then feeling like giving up, I think a lot of it is that, and this is something that I talk about in my book, is like, there's the emergence of AI and everything seems
mhm,
to be like this glamorous instant gratification. Like this person was on TikTok 3 weeks and now they have 5 million subscribers. Why aren't you doing that?
yeah.
Because you're like, this person's just like me. They're my age. Why am I not achieving what this person is?
Mhm,
And I think with AI and all these other platforms, it's not just artificial intelligence, it's artificial intimacy.
mm,
It's artificial connection when we're trying to build something, and part of that is being rooted and grounded in ourselves, like you said, and having that kindness. That way we can extend that genuine connection to other people. But when you have all these career pressures and the world seems to be like going cuckoo bananas, like it's
yeah.
hard to just sit down and say, it's okay. I'm enough. This thing is going
Mhm,
on right now, but this will not be the perpetual state for the rest of my life.
mhm. This too
You
shall
know?
pass.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. You bring both a clinical experience and a personal history to the table. So, how did those two lenses influence how you structured the book?
Yes. So from the clinical side of things, I learned how to have conversations with pretty much anybody. We
Mhm,
worked, when it's healthcare interacting with the general public, you don't know who's going to come through the door,
mhm,
the
mhm,
space that they're in. So making sure that the text was accessible and that it was very easily understood.
mm,
The first part of my book is figuring out, okay, well, what is depression if people don't have it?
mhm,
Some of the mental health diagnoses, treatment options, medications. just to give people a well-rounded knowledge base to which they can make their decisions.
Mm.
The second part of the book is taking care of yourself, like your mental environment, your physical environment, the space you put yourself in, how I believe that what we input into ourselves can also affect us,
Mhm.
good or bad. And then the third part of the book is taking care of yourself, while you are interacting with others, how to make your head not look like it's filled with dancing frogs when you're talking to someone, or a coworker's getting on your last nerves. How do you cope? Because you don't want to be promoted to customer, right?
Mhm.
And then the fourth part is just like taking care of yourself while you're caring for others. So caregivers,
Yeah.
parents, when you're in that role where you have to manage yourself because someone else is depending on you and
Mhm.
that pressure and how to navigate that.
Mhm.
Um, and then the last part is like if you don't have depression, how to help those that do.
Mm.
And my own experience, just having that vulnerability, because again, I think when people hear and when people know they aren't alone in things, that matters the most. For me, the first time I thought that my family would have a better life if I was dead, I was 9 years old.
Mm.
And that's one of those things that I can never forget. It sticks with me, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So I know what it's like to be in that space and you have such like a narrow vision, right? And it feels like there's not much else you can do. But um, wanting to be able to share my story in a way that could help other people, not just be like, oh, here's a pat on the back,
Mm.
Arby, you're doing so great. Like, no, what can actually help somebody? Like,
Yeah.
you don't want to do your laundry, you don't want to leave the house wearing pants. Okay, I got you. Let's figure out a way that we can tackle this laundry monster together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just having my personal mental health journey and sitting with that, and then knowing how I've also had that professional lens of how to look at someone from the outside in with
Mhm.
those behaviors and what they can do to improve their quality of life when they have the tools. It's like guideposts in a park. You don't want to do it for somebody, but you do want to illuminate their options and show
Yeah.
them the most efficient choices that are there.
Sure. Sure. So on that note, what are some of your favorite low effort coping tips from the book?
Oh my goodness. Yes, some of my favorites are 5 minute or less, like a list of 5 minute or less recipes. This could be crock pot, this could be microwave, you know, even if it's like, hey, I'm going to have a bowl of cereal and some coffee, like making sure I believe that humans, in a way, we are plants. We need sunlight, we need food, and we need hydration. And when we
Mhm.
don't have those, then this can get really convoluted and mucky and it can be really
Mm.
difficult. It doesn't help with that mental fog. It doesn't help with that sense of low mental energy. It's like you're, caring for your physical self while your mental self is chaotic. That kind of reinforces that behavior of like, hey, you kind of do give a damn after all, right? Like you do feel a connection and your body's trying to keep itself going, even if your mind or your heart doesn't want it to.
Mm.
Like the body is continuing and it's like at least honor it because it's the only place you're ever going to live,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
um and I think another coping skill is just kind of when I talk about body language and communication, that it's okay if your brain looks, if you are thinking that your brain is like filled with dancing frogs when you're talking to somebody, okay, your train of thought is completely derailed and all the conductors are narrowly avoiding each other screaming. So to make sure, like having the body language that's intentional, right? Like I'm looking at this
Mm.
person and I'm listening to them, I'm engaged. Even if this is checking out, at least it reinforces that habit, right? Kind of that opposite action. It's
Yeah.
like when you're super anxious, breathe. When you are dealing with a lot of depression, gentle things and gentle responses to the sharp voices you deal with in a mind that otherwise likes to wire itself to hate itself,
Yeah.
because that's just super fun. Yeah.
Mm.
I'm sorry, I do sprinkle in a lot of sarcasm because sometimes you just have to put the fun in dysfunctional, right? Like you
Yes.
can't be serious all the time because it's like, okay, you have depression and coexist with it,
Yeah.
coexist with yourself. Yeah, and I hope and on a side note, like I hope I'm not rambling too much. I just have
You're
so much
good.
I want to say
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so many things that I feel are relevant, to the journey, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Having a little humor sprinkled in every now and then, even if it's dark humor, that's still okay. It's still humor. While all this is going on.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think, about 4 months ago, Um, so coming to the topic where you're saying, what you put into your food, the water, the food, the sunlight, all of that affects how how your um, how you're doing mental health wise.
Mhm,
About 4 months ago, I got to a point where I had weighed the heaviest that I'd ever weighed,
mhm,
because I was using food and sugar as a way to keep myself um, going, energy wise. And I reached my breaking point, and I was like, okay, to here, no further. I have to do something. And so I went to go see a nutritionist. Um,
mhm.
and what was very interesting to me that I learned was that it wasn't that I was overeating or eating the wrong things, it was that I wasn't eating enough.
Yes,
And
yes,
I think a lot of people, when they see somebody like me, they're like, "Oh, you're fat. You must eat too much, or eat too much." It's like, no, you don't understand. I'm the opposite. I don't eat enough. I would
right.
eat like 1 meal a day, and so
Same
having to
there.
get into the mindset of, okay, I have to now eat 5 times a day. That initially was really hard for me to do.
Yeah.
And so I had to steadily work my way up to it, but now I've been in the program for 4 months. I've lost 30 pounds,
Oh, congratulations.
and I can already sense my mental health is doing better, I'm doing better, but it's all those little micro steps that you have to take just every day.
Exactly.
Every day is like, "Okay, well, what can I do today to make it a little bit better?" Um,
Right.
and and then after 4 months, you look back and you're like, "Wow, I've really done something here."
Well, round of applause for
Oh,
your efforts.
thank
That's
you.
amazing. And every little decision, like you said, the micro decisions add up.
Yeah. Mhm.
Because I also kind of found myself in a parallel situation where at one point where I was, you know, at at my heaviest, I was in a lot of pain all the time. I
Mhm.
was feeling like, well, what's the point of moving when everything hurts,
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was just, okay, well, what can I add to my diet instead of taking away from it, right?
Mhm.
Like, what can I add to where I'm maybe getting a little more nutrition, but I'm tricking myself into thinking that I'm not on a diet, I'm just on a food exploration,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah.
a way of eating. And I'm definitely, I'm always for slow and gradual changes sprinkled in with that kindness along the way.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
whole lot better than when you're being, super critical of yourselves. And I'm definitely guilty of this. When you look in the mirror and you just like have all this negative self-talk and then you have to
Mhm.
check and you're like, well, I could feel that way,
Mhm.
but chances are I might be in a better mood if I kind of slow down on that a
Yeah.
little bit, you
Yeah.
know.
I'm fortunate because the nutritionist that I see, I go see her once a week.
Mm,
And it's not only a check-in of did I do everything that I was supposed to do that week, but it's also like, okay, it's a mental check-in. Like,
mhm,
what was challenging this week? What
mhm.
How did I overcome those challenges? Did I go to food, or did I actually, was I kind to myself? And so just having that other person to check in with is also very important. Um, I think at least it's been in my journey.
Right.
So you mentioned guiding your readers from survival to thriving. So what
Mhm.
does thriving look to you in today, especially on days when it's hard to get out of bed?
Well, I think the first thing that comes to my mind is mindset. It's not you're only surviving or you're only thriving or you're only living. You can be working on the reorienting yourself with the basics of taking care of yourself, or
Mhm.
also, recognizing that you need income to live. You need to be interacting with other people to some degree to be able to
Mm.
sustain yourself. Um, and, it's just a mindset of like, okay, my survival rate has been 100% with this. It's going to be okay. And then each second that passes, I'm 1 second farther away from those intrusive thoughts. Well, I call them mind sirens in my book, because it's like this alluring call, but it's not to necessarily a good place.
Mhm.
Um, And I also make sure that I always have cereal and almond milk on hand, so that way, no matter what, I can put something into my face.
Mhm.
And I remind myself that I am a plant. I need sunlight, water, and nutrients. Um, I would also say that when it's hard to get out of bed, and for myself, some days, like getting out of the bed, walking to the bathroom, grabbing a toothbrush, brushing my teeth, or in my case, also, taking medication before bed,
Mhm.
feels like a big mountain. And it feels like this thing that you're going to climb and you just can't see the
Mhm.
summit, you can't see the top. So, okay, you're on a mountain. That's part of your journey now. Make camp,
Yeah.
sit down, make some s'mores, roast some veggie dogs.
Yeah.
But when you're in that space and just that radical acceptance,
Yeah.
and that peace of like, okay, this is a state that I have. I am not depression. I am a human being who coexists with it rather than
Mhm.
fighting it. Because I think when we fight it, we suffer more than we need to.
Mhm.
And then when we're on that mountain and we look back, we already had everything that we needed for the climb.
Yeah.
We have what we need within ourselves to get through
Yeah.
1 second at a time. And even if it's too much, every single human being deserves to get help.
Mhm.
And every single human being deserves to know that they have value and worth. And even if other people don't believe in your joy or in the strength you have as a person, know that I believe that for you
Mhm.
100%.
Mhm.
And, again, survival rate's 100%. So I feel like that is part of it. Um, and another thing that I think of is food, right? Like always having cereal. And let's be honest, I need some type of caffeine during the day. Like I just accept that that's part of my reality now. So
Mhm.
having coffee, making sure that I do have pants, because you need to have pants when you leave your house and go into the general public. So let's find ways to make pants happen, and food and water. And then I just tell myself you know, that I'm stronger than the mind sirens, right? Like I am stronger than what it is that's telling me that I'm better off and that the people who matter to me are better off with me dead.
Mhm.
Like I know that I can honor and acknowledge and sit with that feeling of like, okay, this is where I'm at. Like I'm on this part of the mountain right now,
Mhm.
but that doesn't mean I have to stay there.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of times when being in that negative headspace, it can easily spiral, like you were saying, because then
Mhm.
when you're just in that negative, it's like a tornado.
Yeah.
Or one thing that I talk about, like in my book, describing them, is it's like, trying to have a windstorm and a wildfire coexist in the same space and make each other go away.
Mhm.
Like it cannot happen.
Mhm.
So then, what do you do with yourself as you are? And honestly, baby wipes are your friend. Like if you just want to have a little bit of a sense of clean, even if the shower's too much, great. You're still doing something to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And on the days where my brain says, no, thank you, you jerk, we are done here, then okay. I'm going to lay in bed and I'm going to watch my comfort videos on YouTube
Mhm.
and I'm going to snuggle my doggo in my PJs. And I'm just going to accept that me existing and having a full set day is enough.
Yeah.
Your 30% on some days is going to look like you're 100% on another day.
Mhm.
You just have to work with what you have, and when the depression is really bad, I think it's mindset, the thriving aspect of things.
Mhm.
Because mindset will get you further more than any snack, nutrition, supplement, exercise plan,
Yeah.
happy vibe, YouTube membership. I don't know. Just but what you do in here
Yeah.
and in here is what matters the most.
Yeah.
100%.
I found that the days that were sometimes the hardest for me to go through, having a set routine, um,
Mhm.
really, really helped me, because I didn't have to expand energy to try and
Right,
figure out what was I supposed to do next. Um, I would just do the next thing that I've done every day for the past 3 years.
right,
And, that would usually then get me to get up and get moving and, just doing doing the next thing. and the next thing,
exactly.
and the next thing. And then you're right. Sometimes it would just be like, okay, I'm in so much pain today physically. I'm just getting back in bed and just being okay with it.
Yeah.
And because so I have fibromyalgia,
Okay.
and it was diagnosed probably a year ago. And
Mhm.
I there were just days that I was in so much pain, and the only thing that helped was a muscle relaxant, which meant I would be sleeping for the next 3 days whenever I took it.
Yeah.
So I already knew the next 3 days are gonna be messed up. But, having I found that having a routine was what kept me going, um,
A
through some of
mhm.
that. So ho
Absolutely.
Go
So
ahead.
sorry.
Go
I was
ahead.
just, no, no, okay. So, going off of what you were saying, that routines are so, so, so important. I
Mhm.
think the other thing is habit stacking in a routine,
Yes.
right?
Yes, not
So it's
trying
like,
to do something randomly, but,
mhm.
building it into what you're already doing.
So it's like if I already know that I'm going to brush my teeth before I go to bed, okay, that means I'm also going to be washing my retainers, making sure
Mhm.
that they're clean. That also means that I'm going to be taking my medication to help me sleep and stay asleep because
Mhm.
insomnia squad here, 0 out of 10, do not recommend. But sometimes it's you know what I
This
mean.
is what it is.
It
Yeah.
is what it is. But habit stacking, or
Mhm.
hey, it's like I know I'm going to get tea and coffee. If I know I'm going to go into the kitchen for coffee, okay, well, let me find something that's something easy I can snack on, and let me make sure that I'm also grabbing water
Yeah.
during my kitchen trip.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Habit stacking, is is also so important because I think that especially if you're trying to incorporate a new habit into your
Hmm,
life,
hmm.
right? Just randomly trying to remember to do it sometime during the day, it's impossible. But
Yeah.
if you build it into y- your routine that you're already doing,
Hmm.
it makes it so much easier.
It does. It really, really does.
All right, so how did you rescue your pretty lady and cat, Sir Butterbeer Shacklebot the Third? How did they contribute to your writing process?
Yes. Oh, well, they are a source of inspiration and I love them. And I think for Lainey, she actually is from Peru, and I was part of a forum online on Facebook that was for women identifying people in triathlon, right?
Mhm,
And she was saying how she needed to rehome her dog. And then I had to wait. My original Puppers was lost in a divorce. And so
mhm,
I had to make sure that I was really ready to welcome another set of dusty
mhm,
paws, into my kitchen to be, you know, not just to be a replacement, but to be like, hey, this is a whole new family member,
mhm,
and it
mhm,
kind of was, my time dealing with being a frontline healthcare worker with COVID, my long hauler symptoms, my localized tumor, my brain injuries. Lainey's been through all of that with me.
mhm,
And there are sometimes days where she kind of helps to ground me because I'll have
mhm,
really bad nightmares and wake up and not know where I am.
mm,
And so then for her, it's we help each other. She's also rescued from an abusive situation,
mm,
right? So it's like I feel like she is like my soul dog, you know. I feel like I don't have to say, she just knows when I need her. And on the days when I've been very depressed and do not want to get out of bed, she irritates me. So I get out of bed and I give her her walkies.
mhm.
And then I make sure she gets her food. And then by that time, I'm like, well, crap, I'm already up anyway. Like, I might as well do something. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like that passive aggressive, like,
Mhm,
hey, that thing you're supposed to be doing? I'm going to make you do it. Yeah.
mhm, mhm.
And for my kitty, Sir Bedivere Sparkle Shackleable the third, he's my regal hissy precious boy. And I've had him since he was a 6 week old kitten. And I just think about like, I feel like I'm a big animal lover and a big animal
Mm,
person. So for me, just making sure that I had this like tiny little kitten. I remember the first time that he came home and he was in a giant rail, like a toy car, like racetrack set box, and I couldn't find him anywhere. And I'm like, did he fall down a vent? Is he like did he like decide to run outside
Yeah,
through a
yeah.
tiny crack in the window that I didn't know about? No, he was inside this giant race car track box, just staring at me, wondering what I was doing, interrupting his time. And then we also have another fur babies, Peanut Butter, and he was a stray that we brought in, and so far, being acclimated and a little bit hissy, a little spicy, but still accepting that okay, the human's giving you like some really yummy, stinky tuna food right now, so just be kind to the human, right? And the inspiration for me is just thinking about how much emotional grounding and stability that they've
Yeah.
given me on dark days. And, that was another reason why they were kind of at the forefront when I was creating my book and creating the information in a way that would make sense to
Mhm,
people,
mhm,
you know.
mhm, mm. Yeah, I've got 3 puppers, and
Mhm,
I know all about motivating you to get out of bed.
mhm.
I have, one of them that she just, um, the so I so backing up a little bit, I had the stomach flu last week.
Mhm.
Um, and this pup, she was like so caring,
Aw,
following me every single time to the restroom, coming to lie on me, love me, and just cuddle. And it was just so precious to see her be my caregiver
aw.
for the week. And I love pets. I love dogs tremendously.
Yes, yes, yes,
I
yes.
love cats, but I'm allergic to cats, otherwise I would be the cat lady, but I'm not, I'm the dog lady.
Yeah, I think I saw one of your little puppers coming into the room
Yeah,
while we were talking. Oh,
yeah,
that's so
they're
cute.
they're strewn under my desk here, all taking naps at the moment, but they're never
Yeah,
far from me,
of course, of course,
but, they're very precious.
of course.
So what has surprised you the most about readers' reactions to your book?
One of the things that I was not expecting, was that people would appreciate the dark humor that I would have in my book.
Okay.
I was like, "Oh, man, if I put this down, people are really gonna think my cheese slid off my cracker, and then they're never gonna read my book, and it's gonna be horrible." So then I would just have, like, the sky is falling mentality
Mhm.
around it, but then it's like if people have had depression, they get it, right?
Yeah.
Like, they know where it is that I'm coming from in that
Mhm.
headspace, and it's like,
Mhm.
so, making having some fun when things are dysfunctional. Like, one of the things that I know that I've said is it's like, "Well, we're gonna die anyway, so why not save the random algorithm of life the trouble?" Right? So like at first it might be like, whoa, but you get it. It's like, okay, here's this thing and it's going to happen, people. There's a one in one
Yeah.
chance, unfortunately, currently with the way science is in the human condition. So, having people appreciate the things that I didn't think they would.
Mhm.
Um, I wasn't expecting such a positive reaction to the dark humor including into my book and all of the sarcasm, of course. So,
Great. So for someone newly struggling with depression post-pandemic,
mhm,
what's the first thing you want them to hear?
you were not defective.
Mm,
There is nothing wrong with you. You are a human being living the human experience, and you deserve every bit of love and help and support that anyone else does.
mm,
And don't give up. It may feel like that you're in a tunnel and you can't see a way out, but just walk eventually. And even if you're in a dark place, you're going to realize that you are the light in that tunnel, and your light might shine for someone else.
mm,
Um, so I would say just be kind to yourself. Have train yourself to have a gentle response to the sharp voices in a mind that likes to hate itself. And again, fighting it, you suffer more than you need to. So just accept, okay, my brain's depressed right now. I don't feel like doing diddly squat, and I am less motivated to interact with other humans on the planet. Or whatever the symptoms may look like for you.
mhm,
That doesn't mean that they're more, or it's never been a competition game or like a one up. It's like everyone's depression is different because each brain is unique.
mhm,
Um, but I would say don't give up. on finding the right providers or the right medications if that's the path you choose, or the right mental health professionals. Um, and I would say seeing whatever professionals you have, like for me, I've had like 11 therapists, right?
Mhm.
And so instead of seeing it as, oh, this is the person that I'm going to be with and this is my person, well, life happens and they move on. So seeing
Mhm.
it as like, this is your continuation of your journey.
Mm.
Like each of them are going to give you a different lens and a different thing that you're going to learn about yourself along the way. And you don't have to be the perfect post child of I'm coping from depression and it's great. It's like, no, like
Yeah.
it's okay that you don't want to wear pants today. It is okay that you do not want to get out of bed. I see you, I got you. So just having that kindness to yourself, love, peace, and veggie goose. And that's it.
So what's next for you as a writer?
Oh goodness. So one of the things that I'm working on is actually the audiobook
Okay.
for my release. It is quite the project. A lot more involved than I thought it was going to be going into it. But if you want to do it right the first time, then you need to take that time. You need to educate yourself on
Mhm.
the platforms you're using. And honestly, another space where I have always found joy in writing is in the fantasy space. So I'm thinking that I might kind of eventually delve into that world where I've had some brainchild ideas from back when I was a teenager that
Mhm.
haven't left. Like they clearly made themselves a space here and they're living here rent free. So I might as well do something with it at some point.
Mm.
So, engaging in fantasy while also recognizing that in reality we have a responsibility to ourselves to make the world better around us.
Mm.
Um, and fingers crossed, by the time this airs, this will be very close to being done, if not finished. I am still trying to figure out where I want to distribute the audiobook because I do plan on
Mm.
having like a wide release to make sure that's accessible to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Um, but just to just keep writing and along this journey of mental health and everything else, like learning things about myself as I go along, as I go on this journey of making being an author a career, you know, taking every little thing that's a success. Like, hey, I got my first 5-star review, book review on Amazon. Or hey, I'm being interviewed on a podcast today. This is a positive thing.
Yeah.
So I think next for writing is building my mindset, learning and giving myself courses and studying the craft of writing as
Mm.
itself. So giving myself a lot of groundwork. And it's kind I think, and I can't remember the quote or who said this, so my apologies. If someone does know, please let me know. But it's like that writing a book is like falling and then growing your wings on the way down, you know.
That sounds
And
about right.
yeah, yeah. So I think for me, next as an author is making all the different forms available. Like I have
Mm.
paperback and ebook, but then making an audiobook because I know for me, I'd rather listen to an audiobook than I'm driving.
Yeah.
Because sitting down and reading sometimes for my brain with my fatigue, it can get like a lot, make me really tired. But
Mhm.
I can close my eyes and I can listen to a story. I can
Mhm.
listen to a book, you know. And so I think I just want to keep creating, keep learning and growing. And that's all we can do.
Great. So if pandemic depression had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh, goodness. Okay, so the first thing that came into my mind was The Veteran of Psychic Wars by the Oyster Cult from 1981.
Okay, I don't think I know that.
Yeah, so it's basically a song talking about, dealing with like psychological internal war with yourself, like your
Mm.
environment. Here's all this chaos, and everyone's telling me that this is our victory, this is our freedom. Do we really have this?
Mm.
You know, or like you're wanting me to change my perspectives on things, but this is what I'm still seeing. It's not stopping anytime soon. I would definitely recommend a listen because it's the song is a mood in of itself, but that was the first thing that popped into my mind because it talks about you know, community and continuing war, and that can be literal, that can be like a war within yourself to continue.
Mhm.
And it definitely felt like, when we were in healthcare at the start of the pandemic, it definitely felt like it was fighting something, like the disease itself, and then also the resistance we had with people when we were trying to keep them safe,
Yeah.
you know. Um, and also it just does not want to go away. So it's like, okay, well then what do we do now to build up ourselves? I would definitely recommend you listen to it. It is a very
Okay.
unique track.
I'll
and
have
that
to.
is the theme song for pandemic depression.
Okay. Anything else you would like to add or that you would like to tell the audience today?
Well, I would like to thank you all for coming along to hear me talk about mental health. And it's okay if you are a blubbering idiot on the other side of the camera. We're all human. We all have moments that can just be a little bit
Mhm,
challenging, but what doesn't challenge us doesn't change us.
mhm.
So I would challenge you as the listeners to think of one thing kind you can do for yourself today, and then how you can share that with other people. So that would be my homework, I guess.
Great. Well, thanks for coming for the interview today. I had an absolute blast talking with you.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
for more details on R.B. Smith's book, click on the link in the description below to go to her website, cravenboltbooks.com. And if you're interested in learning more about my own books and following in my adventures, head on over to meloescape.com and sign up for my newsletter. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. And as always, happy reading. Bye.